Hi, I'm Michael Cox, co-founder and chief executive officer of InsurAware. InsurAware is proud to sponsor the following discussion with Dr. Chuck Coker on sales mastery with self-awareness for ideas and tips for growing sales success. For more than 30 years, Dr. Coker has focused his career on people's development. He has implemented proprietary personal formation, human capital, talent management, and incentive-based programs across a broad scope of Fortune 500 companies, regional organizations, and educational institutions. We hope you find this information helpful in your business. Thank you.
I'm Kim Magdalen. I've been in the insurance business now for about 35 years. One of the things that has been of concern to me in the insurance industry is the turnover, and I was introduced to the insurance business, or not the insurance business, but the Dr. Coker, who I'm going to introduce here in just a few moments, about 25 years ago, because I was seeking salespeople who could actually get the job done. And I discovered something through my association with Dr. Coker that there was a lack of quality in a certain area, and it had nothing to do with their ability or their knowledge of their industries. It had to do with the quality of their motivation. So I wanted to introduce Dr. Coker today to have a discussion about insurance industry turnover and the lack of being able to return to get and attain excellent salespeople over long periods of time. And we wanted to be very specific about one of the things that could be causing that and a big issue. So Dr. Coker has been in this industry for a lot of years. When I met him, it was a revelation. He had worked with another doctor on this quality of motivation for a long time, introduced it to me, and actually trained me in the process of hiring and then training people in this specific area. So Dr. Coker, wanted to introduce you that way. I hope that was adequate. It really doesn't give you what you're due, but they'll know more by the time you get through talking to us today.
Well, thanks, Kim. It's so good to be with you today. In the insurance industry, we have had an extreme struggle. Harvard Business Review published an article just recently that said that the turnover is 50% in the first year, and that after 3 years, it was 80%. That's a staggering amount of turnover. And after 35 years, the industry has literally dropped billions of dollars into the industry. And guess what? The turnover has not changed. It's still 50% the first year and 80% by 3 years. So we've got to start asking ourselves a question. And the question is, why is this happening? But before we answer that, I think it's important too that we understand that in this same article from Harvard Business Review, we have to ask the question, why and how do I improve the individual performance of our sales reps? And it all comes down to the same thing. We're not using data available to us about the individuals. And if we had data about the individuals, it's not to categorize them, it is to individualize them to the organization and the culture that they work in, Kim. And it's really strange, but people don't understand that you can have a top performer in one culture and move them to another, and it just doesn't work. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that. As a matter of fact, many people come into our industry with tremendous backgrounds. They have retired from other industries in some cases, or they just get out of college and they get started, and they have done really, really well. And suddenly there's a performance issue and nobody can seem to nail it down. And it's usually something that is a lack of consistency and not persistency, but consistency. And where does all that come from? And that's what you were able to tell me about, exposed me to, what really motivates, what's the thing, underlying thing that keeps people going even when things are good or when things are bad.
Exactly. And one of the things that we discovered in our research was the fact that there is an extreme lack of self-awareness on most people that try to hire into the insurance industry. And why is that? And here's the funny thing, it's all based on personality. You see, a dominant task-driven person believes that leaders were born. That's extroverted personality that's more people-oriented. 30% of them actually believe that leaders were not just born, but made in a combination of experience and personality. But introverts, on the other hand, which make up 52% of the population, believe that leaders are made, not born, and not a combination. So when we're talking about the people that enter in the insurance industry, they enter for different reasons. Some of them enter to be made into leaders, or at least what they think will make them into leaders, when in fact, it is a combination of both, because regardless of your personality type, there are things you can learn to lead and become the kind of salespeople that will be successful. Now, here's an exciting thing that Harvard also told us in this study, is that there are two factors that make an insurance salesman successful. And those two factors are ego, which drives them, and empathy, which allows them to serve their clients. So in our studies, Kim, you know that we break down the productive and the counterproductive skills into two categories. And so we identified the key factors of ego are actually ambition, how passionate and driven is the person, and how agile are they to make the steps that they need to make to meet the client needs. On the other hand, the empathy aspect that Harvard says is so critical for an insurance salesman's success is really absorbed in the whole concept of accountability. Will they be there when they need to be, and will they do the things that are necessary to do in a timely way? You see, that's the key. Without a timely response, our accountability is non-existent, because if we wait too long or jump too fast, the client's not ready. And the other thing about empathy is our awareness of customer needs. How well do we listen? And you see, those are things that are critical for us to understand. And there's one key reason, Kim, and that is the fact that each of us have access to a chemical that will literally propel us to success, and that is dopamine. And one of the things that is important for us to remember is that dopamine has a three-part cycle. And it's not about when you motivate your salespeople, it's about them taking action, because the first step to get dopamine going and push a person towards success is they need to take some sort of action. And you see, that's where, Kim, you come into mind with the right things to put action into place, because once they take that action, the second step is the reward that they will receive for that action. And then that reward sustains them over a period of time and motivates them to take the next action. But here's the thing that we have to realize, and I know that you learned early on in the process when we first got together 25 years ago, it's not just about feeding good stuff into people, it's about removing some of the negative stuff so that they can move ahead. What did you discover in that time, Kim?
Well, I was able to come into the industry well prepared, because actually when I met you, I was in the advertising business. I'd taken a leave of absence from the insurance industry to go into advertising. And when I got back in the insurance industry and opened a practice, I was well aware of what was my counterproductive habits. And since I was aware, it was easy for me to be able to say, wait a minute, I'm about to do something that's going to make my sale go away. And I knew when it was going to happen. And by the way, dopamine is not a pill, right? I mean, it's something that comes from the inside out, right?
That's right.
I learned all of that. And, as an industry producer, it allowed me to produce from 2002 to 2008, $150 million worth of annuity production, $150 million worth of annuity production in just a 5 or 6 year period. So, and by the way, I'm the 52%. I am an introvert and pretty much an extreme introvert. And when I go to a party, my wife has to introduce me to people because I don't introduce myself. So I'm not a natural person that goes around and just is very outgoing at all. So one of the things that was most important is the words that you use, self-awareness. It's not that we're stupid. It's not that we're unintelligent. It's not that we're uneducated or don't know the industry. It's that in my case, and in many cases that I of people that I talk to, they just don't know where they're missing some gears. And the self-awareness helps with that. But the counterproductive measures was what I was missing. I was doing well with production. I mean, I was willing to work hard. I was willing to work smart. I had the right tools and the right marketing methods, but there were things that I was doing that were counterproductive that would take the sales away right in the middle of the process.
And Kim, one of the things that we learned in a massive study that I did on multiple continents was the fact that people get themselves in trouble when they think they've learned something. And we did that with the world's largest recycling group. The accident rates actually went up after safety training. And we identified that the fact that people became overconfident when they had information. And so a lot of people come into the insurance industry thinking that I've got the great personality, but they also bring some counterproductive skills that they learned growing up. Mommyisms and daddyisms teach us to do things negatively. Let me give you an example. No pain, no gain. That's not true. I can accept money and it doesn't cost me anything. But if I turn it down, I continue to follow in a negative path. Pretty is as pretty does is another one. A person doesn't have to be pretty to do good things. So when we think about the counterproductive, we found that when you move that counterproductive out of the life or deprogram it, which you have the capacity to do, you replace it with good things. And all of a sudden, a garbage dump becomes a place of beauty because the negative is gone and now there's room for those productive skills to take over. And I know you've seen that happening from time to time.
I've seen it happen a lot. As a matter of fact, because I own a marketing company, I see these things regularly in the people that I help market insurance products. And it's easy for me to be able to identify it because you trained me and certified me in the process of the assessments. And so I know how to identify and see some of the things that they're doing that's counterproductive. And I'll tell you what happens most often, has happened most often through the years. They deny that that's the way things are going. It's almost like I'm their spouse, it says, hey, you could improve if you do this. And they're like, no, I don't want to hear it. But there are ways for us to help people who are willing to say, maybe there are some things and places I can improve. And that's a great first step.
It is, Kim. And You're familiar with our 7-year study that we did both in the UK and the US that was validated at Westminster, Oxford, and Florida State University, that we can improve a sales rep's self-esteem 15%. We can improve their goal attainment 11%. We can have them more resilient 16%. But the important thing is that it takes a process to get there that is validated to work. So you said it, and that is the people that are willing to invest in themselves are the people that we can help, because ego requires that a person have ambition and be agile and move around to move in when things happen. Empathy requires that a salesman must have or needs to increase their awareness and accountability. Otherwise, they will not get to where they need to go. And I'm going to take just a minute, if it's okay, Kim, to break those down, because ambitious sales performers are passionate about their role and the impact that they're having on people's life. They're driven to achieve personal, client, financial goals. They expend the needed energy to engage with clients, and they help their client overcome obstacles that they face. But here's what we know is that salespeople without ambition allow apathy to take over when production isn't there. And you and I grew up in an industry that told us takes 10 no's to get to a yes. Every time you hear a no, you're closer to the yes. And so consequently, that motivates us to become more innovative. And as we become more innovative, our potential clients find our relationship is more attractive. If we're not, they find it less attractive. There's also, with many people, especially in that first to third year that we've been talking about, that have a fear of failure, and a lack of motivation kind of creeps in when they have that fear of failure. But they think that long-term success, it may not be a reachable goal, when in fact we know that it's one step at a time. The other thing we know about the essentials of ego is that a person must be agile. They have to move quickly to action when they discover the client's needs. You can't wait. Embrace the changes necessary. Create order out of chaos so that your client can learn right along with you and improve and evolve as the added value sales take place within that client's life. We're supposed to be delivering value and delighting our customers, not frustrating them. Because if we're not agile, hopeless feelings can overcome a new agent, and we don't deliver what's needed. So we as agents have to be optimistic for our business success. Otherwise, we'll never reach the potential or deliver its value. It's going to inhibit our future plans for growth or development, and it's going to keep that innovative mindset that we must constantly take every time we sit down in front of a client. So ego is a key. Would you agree with that, Kim?
Absolutely. And I have a couple of quick little stories to tell that I think will illustrate it. This past weekend, we had a baseball tournament with my 11-year-old grandson. The team was down in the championship game 5-0 in the second inning. They're only going to play 6 innings. And the team was down. I mean, not only were they down by runs, but they're 11-year-olds. They were demotivated. And then CJ came up, the 5th batter, with my grandson on second base. He hit a monster home run. I mean, it went not out of the park, but into the second park. It was way out. And the whole team was totally motivated. Success motivates. And it was one blast that did it. And then they went on to win the game. The other part was that there's a younger fellow in there. His name's Emerson. He was not doing well this weekend at all. And all of his mechanics are great and his pitch selection's great. He just was not hitting the ball. And I said, Emerson, you're trying too hard. Just don't swing so hard. And you know what? He started hitting. Here's the key. It doesn't take large adjustments in life. It takes minor adjustments that are accurate to make big results, because a minor adjustment helps you to make a sale and make another sale and make another sale. And it only takes minor adjustments. Usually it's not huge personality changes that we're looking for. What we're saying is, let's find out more about you. Let's help you become more aware of yourself, make the minor adjustments that help. And then once you have success, that's the motivator. Success motivates, not failure. It's not no pain, no gain as much as I feel about it. It's, hey, gain comes from gain. You hit a home run, you're ready to hit another home run. But if you keep striking out, it's hard to get up out of the dugout and go again. It really is. In fact, you may not even want to get it back from time to time. You may want to just go home. So what we want to do is help you to hit singles, hit doubles, hit triples, hit home runs, but get the success. And a fellow told me one time, small hinges swing big doors. And all we have to do is know more about what is counterproductive in a person's life. And that little change can erase all of the things that are holding us back.
Absolutely. And Kim, I think you've hit some real critical key points, because the assessments that we use unfold all of this information. They help us understand where the ambition and agility is so that we can impact the ego. The other thing that Harvard says is critical to life insurance salesman success is empathy, because accountable sales performers respond quickly to their clients, and they measure their success with SMART goals and objectives, which Kim can teach you in no time. They continually display interest in their client beyond their sales. They become not just acquaintances, but friends, because that allows them to build strategies that are actually based on the personality of the client. And another thing Ken can teach you is the fact that within the first 30 seconds, you can ask one question and identify how the person thinks and reasons and what's going to take to get to where they need to be. Because without that kind of accountability, there's going to be careless oversights that are going to impact your performance. And there's going to be assumptions made that's going to impact the relationships. And you don't need that, because you need to display that caring mentality that paints a picture of customer focus, not selfishness. It has to illustrate a level of integrity that person wants to come back to you over and over again. And if you don't, guess what? It may not cost you just a sale. It may cost you referrals in the future. Now, the other aspect of empathy is that awareness is key to success in sales performance. We have to understand how an individual's personality impacts other people. We have to know those people that we may rub naturally the wrong way, and we can do that. So researching the client's need and personality helps us avoid that one size fits all, because you and I know that's not going to happen. If you don't do that, you and your client won't be partners for their long-term financial needs. And you can actually overestimate your capacity to meet their needs or underestimate the challenge that your client is facing. And you don't want to do that. You want to be prepared. You want to make sure that you understand those needs. And you don't limit yourself simply because you have one product in mind, because the same product doesn't fit everyone. And you don't want to succumb to the stress of a sale when you should be in the process of building a relationship. So how do we do that? We take the steps to improving your self-awareness. We learn our ego and empathy strengths and weaknesses through assessments that actually measure these skills. Then we tie them to our successes that Kim has spent 35 years putting together that have made him tremendously successful. And Kim, you may not toot your horn, but $150 million worth of annuities in 5 years, who does that? You see, we need to evaluate our weaknesses that are limiting us to succeed, not just pump new stuff in there. And working with a coach or a mentor like Kim can help you minimize those weaknesses and maximize the strengths.
Well, Dr. Coker, thank you very much. Well, probably the best steps to take, I mean, we're pretty much in the end of our time allotted, but the best steps to take at this point is to do that, is to have an assessment. And we have a couple of assessment tools to be able to accomplish that. The first one is absolutely doesn't cost anybody anything to do, including us, and that is the coachability assessment. It doesn't matter whether we are able to do something for somebody or not, unless they are willing to allow us to help them. And coachability assessment will tell us that. It'll let us know from a purely an objective point of view, which is a piece of software that will tell us whether someone is coachable or whether they're going to resist coaching. And if we have someone who is coachable, we can help. The second part is going beyond that and getting involved. And they probably want us to know, well, is this something that's going to cost a lot of money? Not the way I've designed it, because the way I've designed this whole process is for us to participate together and accomplish goals together and move forward together and participate in success together. And we can do all of that in the process.
Well, Kim, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this process. We are extremely excited with taking 35 years of industry knowledge and combining it with about 4 decades of research and assessments that have had a massive impact in the insurance industry, and we want to share them with you. And if you'll look at the trailer here, we'll give you the link to the free coachability assessment, but please contact Kim. His contact information is going to be displayed here on the screen, and make sure that you just ask him a few questions, because he'll have answers that nobody else in this industry will have, because we have the answers to what Harvard Business Review says. We can measure the ego and empathy strengths and build them and take that average performer and move them into that top performer level.
Dr. Coker, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you and listening to what you have to say.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.